A bait that plays year-round almost anywhere in the country is a drop shot. You got to use it springtime, summer, fall, winter. It's a bait I kind of always have tied on. It's a finesse technique that, you know, a lot of people kind of frown upon. They don't like to do it, or they think it's, you know, it's not power fishing, but a drop shot's productive. And I want to show you, when I'm rigging a drop shot, I actually rig my drop shots with 3 different styles of hooks, rig my worms, minnow baits, whatever I'm using, 3 different ways. So it's all a drop shot, but there's 3 ways, and I'll tell you why I use each one to be more productive with a drop shot. So the most common way that you can rig a drop shot, do this mostly for spotted bass and smallmouth, and that's just your plain old nose hook. That's just where you take your worm, hook it right in the nose. And that is one of the best ways to rig it for just kind of all around fishing. So this is like, your bait has a lot more movement, wiggles really, really well because it's just the tip of the hook is just in the nose. So that's a really good way to get a lot of bites. The problem with rigging your bait like this, you get hung a lot. And if you got fish nipping the tail of your worm, like some spotted bass tend to do, and smallmouth a lot, you're not gonna hook them. They're just gonna eat your worm off. You're gonna set the hook and just tear the worm right off the nose, and all you're gonna have is a hook. So this is a really productive way. You get the best action, but the negatives are you get hung, hard to hook the fish sometimes. The second way to rig a drop shot is just like a Texas rig style bait, you know. So I take a normal offset worm hook, just a lot smaller. Generally I'm using like a 1/0, maybe a 2/0, but like a 1/0. Take your worm and you just hook it normal Texas rig style. And this is a really, really good way to rig it for when you're fishing brush. So it's just like a normal Texas rig, stands out really well with that bigger hook and rig like that. And this is a really good bait for throwing around brush, throwing around grass, when you just need that weedless drop shot. And the good thing about it is, if you're fishing for a largemouth or maybe a little bit bigger fish, this is a bigger hook that just hooks them better. It's a lot, it's kind of like it's still a drop shot, but a little bit more of a power, up the power of that drop shot a little bit to get bigger fish out of brush and fish your drop shot in places where you wouldn't be able to with that little bitty nose hook, as I showed you before. And the last way to rig a drop shot, the third way I use a lot, and this way is kind of actually something that I didn't start doing until a few years ago. I didn't really ever think about this way or ever really try it, but this is became my favorite way for smallmouth, and I've started using it a lot for a spotted bass when I'm in open water. So I take a small, like finesse flipping hook style hook, just basically like a hook with a bait keeper on it, but a straight hook, straight shank, like a mini flipping hook basically. So, and I actually thread my worm or my minnow bait. This is a really good way to rig a minnow style bait because it holds it out really well and holds it straight. But you actually thread it on. Looks kind of dumb, but the benefits of doing this is you still get that really good wiggle action like you do with the nose hook, stands out really well, but you got a little bit bigger hook, and if you get smallmouth or spots trying to nip the tail of the worm, if they don't get all the way to the head like you need them to with that nose hook, you've got this hook. This is what I've started doing with smallmouth quite often when I go up north. This is the way I rig my drop shot, especially with a minnow bait. I feel like the minnow swims a little bit better even than with that nose hook because it's kind of stiff and holds it out and lets the tail kind of flop around. But this is just a 1/0, number 1/0, little small, like finesse light wire flipping hook basically. My arc tungsten weight here on all my drop shots. But that is the 3 ways I rig a drop shot: the nose hook and the thread on maneuvers, mostly for spotted bass and smallmouth. And then the Texas rig styles, where I use a lot down here in the South when I'm fishing brush piles, fishing offshore or in grass, heavier cover for largemouths. Those 3 ways are my favorite ways to rig a drop shot, and I think when you put the right hook with the right application, you get more bites and you up your landing percentage, hook those fish a lot better. Most of your bigger fish on Hartwell are always going to come on a top water or fluke, swim bait, something like that this time of year. But if you want to come out here and have a ton of fun, catch 1.5 to 2.5 pound spots that are gorging on bait fish, a drop shot will always get bit.